Hello, I'm Quinn.
And I'm Rich Smith, and this is
Real Hunting. This video is long, but it's the only way for me to accurately tell this story. It's a 5-year adventure. I had over 40 hours of footage that I've chopped up into the pieces that I felt were the most important parts to tell this story the way that I wanted to share it with you. I started mountain bike bow hunting many years ago on some public land in Montcalm County. I had a very long walk back into a swamp, and I thought that the bike might give me a way to more efficiently get there, expending less energy. On top of that, I have a bad ankle. I crushed my ankle back in '95, and it's debilitating for me. And I can make things easier on my body by transporting myself on 2 wheels. I still use my bike. I use it every hunting season on lots of different properties that I hunt. It's been an awesome tool for that. This particular story has a conclusion that happened 10 years ago this week in the same area where I'm filming these parts. It's just very special to me, and you're probably wondering, why did you wait 10 years to show this footage? Well, I was protecting a good hunting area. I discovered something that was really good, and then I started sharing some of that in some of my videos, and this place filled up with hunters. Lots of guys in here on bikes copying me, and it just really pushed the deer back out. I was lucky to experience it in the time frame of this video, and I had some amazing times out here. Since then, there's been major habitat changes, there's been land ownership changes, there's been an increase in hunting pressure, there's been a decrease in habitat, and it's just not the same. And everything that I figured out that allowed me to have that adventure, it's all gone. So at this point, I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to put it out there and share it with the world, and let's get started with year number 1. I've got most of my stands hung. I've got one more area that I want to scout here. I'm going to ride up in there on my bicycle and poke around a little bit on the edge of a swamp where I found some beds. I'm hoping that this is going to be a decent bedding area up in here. I did put a trail camera up out here on the other end of the property, and they're a couple miles, and I'm going to retrieve that tonight and hopefully, see what's happening, get an idea if I want to hunt out here. I kind of feel like I might be scouting this area for next year rather than this year. There's going to be a lot of heavy equipment out here. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the deer, but if I was a deer living out here in the peaceful, quiet swamp, and all of a sudden I had heavy equipment, I might relocate. So, but I'm not a deer. I'm a human who likes to hunt deer, and I'm going to go hunt for some right now. I don't know if I'm going to use this bike or my other bike. I've actually got 2, but I'm thinking about putting a rack on the rear end to haul stuff. But my backpack, I can hold my bow on my backpack. So I get stuck out here at night. This is my 4th time out here, so that's why I've got the light here. A little Night-Eyes rubber strap that holds it on there, and this is one of Maglight's 3-watt LEDs, and let me tell you what, that is the perfect headlight for a bike. It's really, really bright, and I'm really happy with their LED lights that they're making. Well, here's the area that I'm looking at. As you can see, it's grassy, some low cover, but like in this area, there's beds all through here in the grass. it looks like maybe I'm in this area a couple years too late, because every one of these trees around here has got an old rub on it. Nothing new. I don't even know how to get to where I am. Like in the dark, quietly. I like this spot. There's no big trees around, but man, I'd ground hunt this if I could figure out how to do it. Unless I find something I like better. I don't know, the swamp was cool, because I got lots of trails and all that browse, but out here, man, there's just rubs everywhere. 7 p.m. and I'm trying to get back out of here. Find my bicycle again and bike over to the area where I've got a trail camera hung up. Get that down. You know, there's so many rubs in the small stuff out here. Or used to be small stuff. Honestly, I've probably seen 100 rubs. Old rubs. Nothing new. I found one small little scrub on a piece of, you know, on some bark that I thought might have been from this year. Maybe they're just not doing it yet. But I know we usually find rubs this time of year in other spots that I hunt. I'm standing next to an oak tree right here. And this is a small oak. The kind that I would expect to find a scrape underneath. Nothing started yet. Maybe some old scrape activity down here. Looks like there was probably used as a licking stick at one point, because it is, there's no leaves on the end and it's kind of broken there. It's great habitat. I love this spot. I feel very lucky that I found it, and I'm going to spend some time here this season. Made it back to my bike again. I'm getting really exhausted today. Combination of the heat and tough terrain. Lots of swamp, lots of lumpy up and down ground that is, you know, just not good footing. My boots are getting loose. I got to tighten them up. I'm starting to really feel the fatigue in my legs. My GPS says I've done 3.4 miles out here, and I know I'm only about a mile in on the bike. So that's quite a walk through this type of terrain in this heat, carrying a backpack. Alright, I'm going to go get my camera, and that's a hike in itself, so, and that's about a mile and a half bike ride from here. So, getting tired, but you know what? It's worth the effort. I like putting the work in. I like finding new spots, and even better, I like hunting those new spots and being able to find some deer. I don't like being stuck in the same stand every year. Well, I say that, but I have a couple stands that produce every year. But I love the exploration. I love getting out and exploring. I like looking on maps. I like looking at satellite photos and getting out there on foot and actually seeing what's going on. This kind of thing really fires me up. It keeps me mentally strong and gives me that youthful glow. I was looking for a place to stash my bike out here, and I found some buck sign. Nothing much, but at least one tore into this a little bit. Alright, that's a night of some serious scouting. 9.3 miles tonight total, according to my GPS. 8:23 p.m. right now, and it's like I got out here at just before 5, so almost 3.5 hours I've been going non-stop, and I'm wiped out. I did see 11 deer tonight while I was riding. I got back on my bike after getting my camera and just made a loop. 11 deer. I saw a pretty good buck out here. I don't know if he was a big 1.5 years. His body looked 2.5. You know, he looked like he either had a big fork, or he had 2 decent points sticking up off of a main beam. It was getting dim. His antlers were fairly white, but he was about 75 yards away from me, so it was hard to tell. Good thing anyway. It's fun to see a buck, and I'm gonna scope the area out where he was at and see what I see. It's 6:22 p.m. and I'm standing on the ground in a little low spot trying to blend in. I biked and hiked back out to the trail camera I put up last week by all the old rub activity. And I'm standing on the intersection of the 2 trails where I had the camera. I saw a pretty nice buck while I was biking. He wasn't too far off the road. Well, I didn't shoot anything. I certainly could have. Nice wide spike came out right on the trail where I thought a buck would come from if one came out. And you come out, you scout an area, you find some sign, you do the work, and I was just standing on the ground, and 12 yards away I could have shot him broadside. It's a good feeling, really good feeling. Nice deer. I tried to get him on camera, and as I was bringing the bow up to try to get it above some ferns to get a picture of him, I don't know if he spotted that movement or what, but he kind of bolted for a few steps and then just walked off. So 6:08 p.m. and I just got a new stand set up. I'm about 40 minutes behind where I wanted to be, but it took me a lot longer to bike out here than I thought it was going to. All that extra weight that I had to carry in my stand, my ladder, my backpack with some extra clothes, my cable locks, my bow, all that, and that's all right. We're all set up. My objective right now is to be set up here for November, and it's October 7th. So I'm going to sit here tonight. I'm kind of sweaty, which is too bad. It's going to be hard to ever get out here and not sweat. I got a long bike ride to get to this spot, but I think it might be worth it. I think I saw 5 deer total tonight. Doe and 2 yearlings first off, and then the doe went back in the thick stuff, and I thought it was her coming out, but it ended up being a little spike. And just at dusk I had a deer coming out behind me. Thought it was coming out of my left, but my ears, sometimes they play tricks on you when you have a tree right next to your head. She or he was actually coming from behind me on the right. Wind had picked up, got straight downwind of me, 15 yards maybe, if that. Flagged for 2 bounds and then walked off. Tuesday, whatever date it is, I don't even know anymore. 13th, 14th, something like that, maybe, of October. And I'm gonna ride my bike back in again, hang a new stand. Check out my setup here. I got my gear tied down to the back of one of my bikes here. Gonna hang this stand and sit it tonight. It's 4:18 right now. I'm really hoping to be done by 5:30. I figure it'll probably take me half hour or better to get to the stand site, and then we'll do some work. Well, I'm gonna consider tonight another success. And though it was too dark to get them on camera, I had a button buck and a doe come out. Both of them broadside within 10 yards of me. And there was a third deer that hung around back behind me in the thick stuff and didn't come out until it was just too dark to be able to see him. Gonna go home. I'm gonna get something to eat. I'm gonna relax. I did crash tonight, by the way. I wiped out on my bike. I took a different route to this stand tonight just to try it out, and it's an unimproved road. And it's very sandy, and I just plain bit it tonight. And I mean, not only did I come off the bike, I mean, I lost my balance, the front wheel dug in, I got pitched to the side, I went down, I actually fell hard on my right side and put the end of my bow right in the dirt. Ugh. Well, as you can see, my tree stand is right here, about 20 yards away from me. And as I was making a loop out behind it, I noticed a good deal of blood on the ground. Bright red blood, like from today. So I decided I'd backtrack the trail, and brings me right here to this spot. About 20 yards out in front of my stand. There's some blood here with, looks like lung tissue in it, and a little bit of hair on the ground to go along with it. So this is the spot where the shot was made. It's legal for somebody to use, for them to use my stand, because it is on state land. Good for somebody that they got a deer. Kind of wish they hadn't have done it out of my spot, but what can you do? It's state land, you know. Like I said, it's not the first blood trail I've found under one of my stands before. This is my stand, which fortunately is still there, because right over here, 35 yards away, somebody's been sitting there in firearm season. Yeah, over here I saw something that caught my eye. I saw some red. Yep, exactly what I thought it was. So, I guess somebody had some luck in this spot. Alright, so I got both my stands down. They're packed up in the truck. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, obviously I can pick out some good hunting spots because there were deer shot recently by both. That's the tough thing about state land in Michigan, man. There's so many hunters. No matter where you go, you're not going to get away from them. No matter how far back in you think you are, somebody else is doing the same thing. A late October pneumonia killed my hunting season. Just about killed me. I was hit with a bacterial pneumonia, strep pneumo if you care, and just about took me out. One day I was fine. 24 hours later I was in a life-threatening situation. 7 days in the hospital on an antibiotic, and got it under control. I have a debilitating issues from that too. My right lung is so scarred up that it doesn't process oxygen very well. So unfortunately, I deal with that. So I missed, October, most of November that year, and leaving my stands up out here was actually an attraction to other hunters, and those hunters used my spots and they used them successfully. So lucky for them that they found my tree stands. What followed that was a massive scouting operation. Once I was healthy enough, late winter, early spring, I scouted miles, not just on bike, but on foot. I walked all these deer trails, I mapped them all out, and I found key locations. And I felt like I was zeroing in on something really good. So let's take a look at year number 2. I know what you're thinking. Been at it for 4 weeks. Haven't shot anything yet. You're probably thinking, Quinn, why don't you try something different? Funny thing is, I was thinking the same thing. So I'm going to go back in some state land in Midland County, and I'm going to ride my bike back in there. My mountain bike. You might remember from last season that I spent a considerable amount of time out here scouting, and then I didn't hunt it very much. Well, it's 60 degrees out, about 4:40 in the afternoon. I'm going to ride back in here a couple miles and sit next to a big oak tree, see what's going on. Alright, so it's just simple. I got some essential gear with me. I got my bow and my bike. Yeah. Got my climber with a few extra layers on the back for when I get back in there. This is living, baby, right here. Get outside and make a memory. That's what we're doing right now. 5:30 and I'm in my tree. The oak tree is not dropping any acorns. There's no sign of feeding under there, so I'm kind of bummed about that. So I came about 50 yards from there on the other side of this thick area that they moved through, back to the big scrape where I shot that doe last year with my 270. That scrape's getting worked again. There's a licking branch there, so I put some of my buck fever synthetic scent on it. It's about a 25, 27 yard shot to the scrape, a little further than I want. This is the only tree available to me here, and I'm excited. I like hunting out here. This is fun. This is where I grew up hunting. Gotta be kidding me, that's 2 bucks in a row out here I've seen cross. They're running together still. In the 4th week of October, 3 bucks in a row just crossed up there. 3 bucks in a row, and the last one was definitely a 2.5-year-old. I know what you're thinking. Blah, 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 next adult deer. Blah, 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 burger in the freezer. I get it, but if you think that I'm going to shoot that doe when I saw 3 bucks tonight, not going to happen. 2 of those bucks were nice. The first one was, looked like a big 6, maybe an 8, and the second one was definitely a 2.5 or older deer. He 60 yards out, 50, 60 yards, something like that, and I could see that he was at least 8 just by counting the sides. Yeah, good buck. Hope I get to see him again. Had I set up on the other side of the thick stuff in the tree that I was thinking about, very well might have got a shot at him. I had to sit a little longer just because I was hearing deer move. Once they all got out of the area, I snuck out of the tree and took a longer route to get out, but it was a quieter route. The neat thing about that area is I can approach it from multiple ways, so I don't have to keep taking the same trail into that stand. So, man, it's a lot of work getting back in there, but if I get a chance to connect with either one of those, I mean, obviously I'd like the bigger one, but either one of those I'd be very happy with. So, all right, man, awesome night. 5 deer out in my old stomping ground. Wind calmed down, beautiful starry sky. This is, I'm just going to take it in. This is an awesome night. Well, I'm back in Midland County again. Going to head out to this state land. Today's the 26th in the PM. Right now, there's a buck standing over on one of my synthetic scrapes. As you can hear, it started raining. But that's alright. Pretty good night overall. Looked like it might have been a 6-point over on that scrape. I just, picked the wrong tree. I decided to sit on the other side of the cover where those 3 bucks came through last week, and didn't work out. I did have a little spike come in right when it was pretty dark. I'm not sure if the camera footage will if we'll be able to show them to you or not, but pretty good night though. I mean, 2 bucks, come on, I'm not complaining. If I get a chance at that 6-point out here, yeah, I'll take him for sure if I can. It's great to be outdoors. It's great to have adventures like this. I'm just really ready to connect with a deer and bring one home. It just pays to be nice and friendly to people, because every time one of these trucks comes out here, I pull off the side. As they go by, I wave to them, and they wave back. And this morning, this guy in a blue truck goes by. These are the big trucks, by the way, the big dump trucks. And wave at him, and he gives me a real friendly, very exuberant wave. And I'm like, thinking, nah, that's cool. I imagine these guys are probably talking about me on their radios. Yeah, I saw the guy on the bike. He's crazy. And so then when I was leaving, I drove north on the road here leaving, and he was parked off the side of the road, waiting in line to get into whatever they're doing up the road here. And he starts waving at me as I'm coming down the road, and I thought to myself after I waved and passed him, I thought I should have stopped and talked to him. And I asked him where he sees some deer out here. Well, on the way in tonight, he's coming up behind me as I'm biking along. And he rolls down his window and stops. He says, there's a great big 8-point that we're seeing. I mean, a great big 8-point. And he's off. You know where that one trail goes? I'm not going to tell you where it is, and I said, yeah? And he said, yeah, off in that thick stuff. We keep seeing him all the time. I said, really? He says, yeah, we've got pictures of him. We, by the way. I'm thinking, well, that's cool, because this is the second person now who's told me that there's a big 8 out here. And the first person also said that his dad had seen one even larger than that. So I'm thinking, I was just in that area tonight, or in that area this morning, scouting, because there were some rubs up in there, and there's no place to hang a stand. And I thought, I'm not going to go out there tonight. I'm going to stick with my original plan and go by the oak tree. Well, I did that. And just before I got to the oak tree, I bumped a deer out from under it while I was riding my bike. Stashed the bike, got in the tree by 10 to 5 today, and so they were moving kind of early. And I don't even know what time it was when all this happened, but here we go. I hear chasing, and I'm like, oh, that sounds like chasing. I hope that's what it is, and they're not just running because they winded me or something. And I keep hearing it, chasing, tearing around, breaking stuff. I'm like, yeah, come my way. And I hear one walking, and I'm looking, and about 30 yards out, there's a doe, and I'm like, all right, what's coming? And all of a sudden, I see these big white tines, and I'm like, I want that buck. And his head goes down. He gets behind a tree, and I draw. And he doesn't step out. He turns and goes further out, and then comes out as the doe's running off away from me. And I'm thinking, no, don't follow her, don't follow her. So I'm thinking, okay, do I just wait? Because I know he's going after her. Do I just wait, or what do I do? And I grunted once, and he looked my way. A few seconds later, I hear another deer walking, breaking stuff. Sounds like a buck. I'm like, all right, he's going to think that this is the deer that grunted, hopefully, and come over by me. Well, out comes the 6-point, and the 6-point walks across about 22 yards, and I'm looking at the 6-point, and I'm looking at this 8-point, and I'm like, holy cow, look at the size difference between these two. The 6-point just looked small. And mind you, I was going to shoot the 6 tonight if he came by me close enough, which he did. And he comes over, and all of a sudden the wind starts blowing, and it's blowing right down like this at him. And I'm like, oh, and I can't see him because I'm turned around or on the left side of my tree that's right here. And all of a sudden the 6-point hop. I'm like, oh man, he smelled me or saw me or something. And stands there a little bit, sniffing, and looking around. And the 8-point now is getting agitated. And then the 6-point starts moving away. And I thought, if I'm going to try a shot, I have to do it now. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, there's a branch. I could go over it. I could go under it. And he's about 45 yards, and I just didn't do it. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Biggest buck I have ever seen in the Michigan woods. I've been hunting since I was 14 years old, so that would be 24 years of bow hunting here, and that's the first deer that I can honestly say was at least 3.5 years old. First buck. I've never, ever seen one like that before. Oh, man, what a buck. So they move out their ways, and they don't run any farther. They're about 100 yards away from me now, and the 6-point's walking around. There's another oak tree over there, and I can't see the 8-point anymore. I'm assuming he went wherever the doe went. And then finally the 6-point walks off. And about a half hour later, this deer starts walking from out that way, coming right down toward me. And I'm thinking, oh man, what am I going to do if it's a buck? And it starts coming in, and I'm looking, and he's a real tall fork. And I said, you know what? I can hunt, because I'm going to hunt for that other big one. And I know you're not supposed to pick out a deer to hunt for, but I'm going to do it this year. And the tall fork is coming in, and I said, you know what? I want to take a buck home tonight. I really want to take a buck home. And as he comes down, he's going on this side of the tree, then he's going on that side of the tree. I'm like, which side is he going on? And I'm trying to get my bow lifted up and moved around the tree and around while I'm getting it over my strap. He stood right at the base of my tree. He was sniffing my tree. He was looking up. He was looking around, and he's sideways below my tree. Finally, he turns and starts quartering away, walking out. And just before he clears the brush down there, I draw. He steps out, and I'm thinking, well, I can stick it up through him this way, and I might even hit the spine because it's so down. And just as I'm lining up on him, another buck comes running. No, seriously, another buck comes running. You should be able to hear it on the video if the video turns out. And I'm thinking, this might be the big one chasing him away. And I'm looking, and I can see it's got white on its head. I can tell it's not the big one, but it looks bigger than the one I'm currently drawing on. So I'm waiting, and he starts walking out, and I let down my arrow, my string, and he meets up with the other buck, and then they both walk off. Yeah, what a night. At least 3 bucks, maybe 4. And I don't even know what to say. I have never, ever in my life hunted in a spot that's given me so much buck activity, and to see that big one, holy cow. I'm going to try to connect with him. I'm going to try to just keep bouncing around in the area, not always sitting in the same tree, and see if I can get by a spot. If he starts pushing does around, that's a good thing if we're coming into that. I've only got a couple days left before Ohio, and my worry is that the first week of November would be awesome to connect with him out here, but after that, he might move out of the area and go somewhere else, because they do that. So I don't know. We'll see what happens the next few days. We'll give it a try, and hopefully it all works out. October 29th in the PM. getting ready to bike back in here again. This is going to be my last time out here for a whole week, just over a week, so wish me luck. So that's it. I got to leave this area for a week, and I just got it figured out. They came by me tonight, but it was too dark. It keeps being later and later each time, and I figured it might be right at the break, you know, where I couldn't see. And sure enough, about 7 o'clock, sitting in my stand, and I hear, "Bleh." And I thought, was that a bleh? Yep, I guess it was. Chasing starts, same spot in the woods, and I'm thinking, okay, I set myself up in this tree based on where they came out last night because I knew it was going to be darker and I wanted a close shot. Well, they came out another 30 or 40 yards out from me. Oh, chase, 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 run, 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 grunt, grunt, grunt. And then I hear back in the woods, "Brrr." And I went, oh gosh, there he is. Crash, 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 running through the woods. Brrr. I'm like, oh gosh. He's coming right at me. I'm thinking, come out right here where I can see you. He came out, must have been within 20 yards. I could not see him. Just couldn't see. You know, you can see, it's like they don't reflect light. You can see everything else on the ground, but you can't see that deer. Brrr. He takes off after the other buck, and they go running off, and that was it. I waited about 10 minutes, and it was pretty quiet after that. So, now let's talk about the ironic thing here, is that I have been wanting to hunt out of state for quite some time because I never see big bucks in Michigan. Finally getting an opportunity to do that, and I'm leaving in 2 days, walking away from the biggest buck I've ever seen in the woods when I know right where he's coming every night. I think it's going to keep getting later and later and later on a cycle, and then all of a sudden it'll probably reset. So maybe when I get back I can still connect with him, but it's just funny how things work like that sometimes. Let's hope I have some luck in Ohio. Alright, the short and sweet version here because I'm pressed for time. It's November 9th in the PM, about 20 to 4, and I'm back on state land in Midland County, getting ready to bike back in here, get up in a tree, and hopefully connect with that big 8-point if he's still around. If I see a 6, I'm probably going to put an arrow through it, as maybe with any other buck. Wow, it's 4:22. Took me a little bit to pick out a tree farther down here that didn't have too many obstructions around it. Wind's right at my back, blowing out of the woods where I expect them to come. If they come this way with the wind blowing this direction. There's a great big track out in the road that tells me that big boy's still around, and he was right here this morning. Maybe this isn't him. This looks like it might be a 6, but if he comes, I'm going to take him. Problem is, my wind's going to be blowing right at him, and if he comes like this, he's going to be at least 30 out. Yeah, it's a good 6. That's not the big one, but I'll tell you what. Oh, it's a long shot right there. I'm going to see if he comes closer. Spooked him. Something over by my bike. Maybe a deer saw my bike over where it's stashed. Here he comes. Oh my god, it's a big one. Oh, they're too far out. Come on. Alright guys, here's the situation. Things have changed. No trucks out here, and the gate is open. My only guess is maybe they open at November 1, and there's a lot more pressure out here. There's a lot of passenger vehicles in here tonight, and they were all looking at me like I was absolutely crazy being out here on a bike, which I can understand. Why would that dude be on a bike when he could just drive? Yeah, at about 10 minutes after 5, the big 8-point came through, right on schedule, which means tomorrow night it's going to be probably about 5:45 when he comes through. And it's going to be pretty dark. It's going to be hard to see. I keep moving down. He keeps coming out with a doe 30, 40 yards down from me, and I keep moving down. They keep coming out further and further down. So again tonight, he's 40 yards out there, and I had branches. I didn't want to try to get him to stop, and it didn't happen tonight. Tomorrow night is likely my last opportunity to connect with him. I didn't sleep good last night because I kept thinking about this buck. I was so bummed that I didn't get an opportunity at him, and I think tonight might be my last night to see him. So I picked out a different tree, kind of a plan 2 that did not give me a shot where I saw the deer the very first night, but would give me a shot where I saw him the next 2 times. And I couldn't get up that tree. So now I'm in a little teeny tiny thing, as you can see behind me. I'm like a lump on the side of a little tree. Anyway, I did a drag out here with some doe and heat scent. Made a loop out in front of me, so that hopefully if he comes by, he'll at least stop when he hits that. And if I'm lucky, he might even follow it right by the stand. Well, it's 17 minutes after 7. About 5:45. Had a bunch of deer coming, and it was really dim. The camera would not have picked them up, so I didn't turn it on, so they didn't see any of the lights that light up on the camera. And I had this doe come out, and she hit that drag, and she didn't like it. So, my mistake. I was trying something in what felt like a desperate last attempt here, and screwed myself because she didn't like it, and she started stomping, walking around stomping, and all the other deer that were coming behind her stopped. She stomped for about 5 minutes and then finally came back out in the open, and the rest of the deer started moving, and then some chase activity started back in there. But whatever buck was in there, he didn't come out in the open until well after 6, and I just sat there listening to all the activity around me. They chased around me for a long time before finally moving off. I'm going to try to come out here a couple of mornings this week, see if I can get lucky, but deer came from every different direction. I don't know where I'll hunt in the morning yet, but I'm going to get some mornings in and go from there. So I felt like I was putting together the pieces. I continued a lot of scouting in the off season, finding those intersecting lines, finding important points of interest. I began using my lone wolf climber here so that I wasn't leaving behind any sign that I was hunting it, so that other people wouldn't find that. It's been a great climbing stand for me, I gotta say. I still use it to this day. I had the opportunity to see a great big 8-point a few times, and I wish I could have connected with him. The biggest thing that was holding me back was walking through the tall ferns. I got ferns here all around me. I'd walk through the tall ferns in a spot, and those deer would come back through there to bed. They'd smell where I walked, and the next time they'd come through farther down. I'd hunt there because I saw them come through there. The next time they come through, farther down again. So it was really tough for me to figure out how am I going to be able to get into a location to be able to intercept the deer as they're moving from bed to feed and not walk through the tall stuff. I shared some footage from this season online, and the result of that was there were just 10 times the hunters out here. I had all these guys on bikes. I had 2 guys who were, I don't know if they were on cell phones or on radios, but they were trying to follow me where I went. And I ditched the guy the one day and hid in the woods, and he comes riding by and I can hear him talking. yeah, I know he went this way. You know, I saw him turn. I know he's around here somewhere. And it was like, holy cow, I'm having to dodge people because I made a video about my hunting experience. I did not see that coming. So part of the reason that I chose to protect what was good here was that kind of behavior, and trying to be able to come out and enjoy my hunt my way without all the other people trying to step on top of me. So with that said, let's take a look at year number 3. All right, so it's opening day still, afternoon. I decided I would bike out on this state land here in Midland County. And I pulled in to the parking lot, and there's 2 more guys with bikes and backpacks here loading their stuff up. So, not sure where they're going to be at. You know, they felt that they needed to be in their ways to do it on bikes, so I hope they're not by me, but it wouldn't surprise me if they are. You know, you can't ever keep a spot to yourself. You never know. It might be good one year and then pressure. So, we'll see how it works out. Got to get out, do a little bit of... I got to look around a little bit. I haven't been out here yet this year because I haven't been able to, and there's a couple oaks I got to check, see if they're dropping acorns, and some other spots that I got to look for a big track before I figure out exactly where I'm sitting tonight. But with that being said, it's a west-northwest wind, about 10, and some rain pushing in around 9 o'clock tonight. So, I mean, it should be a really good night. We'll see. Well, I made it out here fine. Those other guys are actually hunting fairly close to me. The 2-track that they finally turned down off of the main road is about 100 yards away from me right now. I don't know how far up that 2-track they are. Probably be a good spot for them. I've seen some good sign up there before. My sign is minimal compared to last year. There's still a run coming through the woods here, but it's not torn up like it was last year. But I wasn't out here till the end of October last year either, so I think that makes a difference. I'm taking a minute just to have a breather to cool down here because I just got into my tree. I didn't know where to set up. You know, I sat this tree last year, and it would have worked for me on that big buck if I'd have been here. It would have worked for me 2 different times. But if I was up in the woods a little bit, if he came through on this run, I could get a closer shot than what I have here, because I've got a solid 20 to 25 where I'm at. And high ferns out there. I mean, the ferns are about 4 feet tall, so that's going to make it tough. But I'm sitting here because I want to see what moves across this opening. Last year I saw lots of deer come to this point in the woods and then come across this opening. So, you know, I'm hunting and scouting at the same time, I guess. And if I see some good activity on a certain run in the woods, then I'll move up in there just a little bit. You know, 40 yards from where I'm at now. We'll play the 40-yard game again this year, I guess. Well, I guess overall I had a pretty good night. Saw 3 deer, a doe, a yearling, and a buck. The buck looked like he was probably a 6. Might have been an 8. It was hard to tell, about 75 yards out, so couldn't get a real good look, but bright white antlers, so it's fun seeing some deer. Talked to the other guys riding bikes on the way out, and they both saw some deer, significantly more than I did, but that's okay, because I think I'm still onto something good. I saw that buck, and I'm pretty sure things are going to heat up in that area like they did last year. So I'm just going to stick it out and take what I've learned the last 2 years out there and stick to the plan. All right, so it's about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, somewhere in there, and taking a little ride on my bike here. Biking back into some state land. Got some things I got to check out. You know, I wasn't able to come out here and scout it like I wanted to because I had such a well, I've got some commitments this year. You know, my job keeps becoming more and more demanding all the time, and you know, that pays the bills. You gotta follow through on that. Took on a role of a hunter education instructor for the state of Michigan. Been spending time doing that, especially in September. We taught 3 weeks in a row, and had to give up some scouting time to do that. So, based on what I found out here last year is what I'm going on this year, and so far it's working. I'm seeing some deer. And when I biked out of here the other night, I saw a whole bunch of does, so I know that there's going to be a buck in this area again. If there's a good buck around, he's going to come through, he's going to stop by, and he's going to say, hey, I like it here. So, as of right now, the plan is to get out here a little early, look for some tracks in some different areas, and get set up. And I'm going to hunt where I saw that buck the other night, and see if we can make it happen. I mean, I'm not sure what he is. He's a 6. I don't think I'm going to shoot him yet, but you never know what might come through. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. I just got into my tree stand and took my climber, my lone wolf climber, up a tree that I've never been in before. Great spot based on the deer I saw last time I was out here. I got a trail that I can see about a solid 20 yards, and I got another one about, I don't know, straight down. Awfully difficult to bike out here on such a beautiful day and not sweat. It's 69 degrees, and great day for a bike ride. Not a great day if you're trying to not sweat, because I got my long hunting pants on and carrying a good 25 to 30 pounds of gear on my back on the way out here. It's alright. I love it. I love it so much. Set up, you know, kind of early today. Been watching the lunar tables. Might be some early movement. It's just really hard to tell. There's not a lot of tracks around. There's a lot of work going on in this area, and not a lot of deer tracks compared to last year, so I'm thinking that I'm probably not going to have as good an opportunity this year. I'm feeling pretty good about the next few days. I haven't hunted this spot much this year, but we're coming into the time that I hunted it last year, and I saw a few bucks, including that really nice 8-point. So anything that has my camera mount just broke. Luckily, I planned for that. Okay, as I was saying, any buck that I see with 4 points on one side within a reasonable distance is going to get arrowed by me. I would love to get that 8-point that I got on camera at home, but you know, just because he's there doesn't mean I'm ever going to see him in shooting light. So, see what we can do out here. If they look 2.5, man, I tell you what, honestly, it'd be hard for me to pass up a 2.5-year-old 6-point. I thought I had this spot all figured out last year. There were tracks everywhere, and this year, everything's different. I don't know if it's because of the oaks. There were a couple oaks dropping acorns last year, or what, but those deer are not using this point like they did last year. Which means I'm going to have to backtrack, start hunting them closer to their bedding, and see where they're going from there. I can do that. I'm planning on doing that tomorrow morning, in fact. That was my plan all along. So, we'll see what the rain's like in the morning, and we'll see what happens tonight. But if I see a 6-point, I might shoot it. Because 2 weeks into the season now, today's the 14th, and I have not yet had one single opportunity to arrow a buck. So, last year, I'd had several by now. Well, I'll tell you what. Tonight is a rough night hunting, man. That wind was blowing hard, way harder than it was forecasted, and the first deer that I saw actually winded me, which is unfortunate. But I ended up seeing 4 deer tonight, and at dark I had more come by me, and I just sat there for quite a while after it got dark because I kept having deer come by me. And finally I had 2 of them. They sounded like they were bucks because they both just came out singly, just walking through, smashing stuff. And they hooked up and went over under a big oak that's about 100 yards away from me, and I could hear them working under there. There must be a few acorns falling. I haven't heard any falling, but there must be. And finally I gave up and just lowered my bow, and when my bow hit the ground, I heard them move off. So I don't think I really spooked them, but got them out of there. And this bike ride tonight felt like the full 2 miles that it is. A lot of times it's just really fun for me to ride my bike out here in the dark, and especially with a good light on my head, because I can see lots of deer. But tonight it was blowing and it's raining, and it wasn't any fun at all. My hands are freezing and I'm soaked, and can't wait to get home. Well, I'm getting ready out here on the state land to bike back in. And again, I asked a guy who was driving out of here, one of the crew, and I said, do you see any more deer in one spot than another? He says, oh yeah. He just sat there. And I said, what, do you hunt out here or something? He said, no, I don't hunt here. So I waited, just stood there. Well, I see him, you know, and then he tells me where. And it's just fine. It's the same spot that I'm hunting, so it's good to know. See unlimited sign out here this year compared to last year, so it's nice to get some insight like that, because my goal today is to do a little bit of exploring. I've got 2 spots I'm going to set up some buck fever synthetic scrapes. Absolutely the best scrape scent. I know I've told you that before, but you got to try it. And I've got 2 spots I'm setting those up because there's deer coming all through those areas, and I want to see if I can have something there to get them squeezed down a little bit more so I can get a shot at one. And that's my goal with those. And plus I just want to see how they respond to it, because it's always interesting to me. Well, what a neat spot this is. Looking real good for me here, because I've got oaks all over in here, and they look like they're white oaks, and they're dropping acorns. I didn't bring my stand in here because I figured I'd hunt the other spot, and I may be changing my mind here. I shot a buck here years ago with a firearm. I shot a spike out here with my 30-30, and a guy came over and started giving me hell about it because he said I was on private land. But you know what? I wasn't. I was right here in this area. It looks a lot the same, just enough different that I can't quite tell exactly where it was. But I've got a big pine tree over here that I used as a landmark, and that's still there. So I was in the right. I'm glad to know that after all these years. And I gotta figure out a way back to the 2-track from here, because oh man, I gotta spend some time here. About 10 after 4. I'm made it back to where I stashed my tree stand earlier, and got a sandwich and an apple and some trail mix here. I'm gonna eat, and then I'm gonna go sit. Now, you might think I'm crazy for not sitting over those acorns, but had I had my stand with me, I'd have gone straight up a tree and sat there all night. But my stand was about a mile away from there, and just as I was back to the 2-track, a couple deer came walking through the woods going right to those acorns. Stood there for a little bit and watched them, and then I started walking through the leaves to get my bike where I'd stashed it, and some more deer took off coming from the other direction. So I got to get out there pretty early to hunt that spot. Secondly, where I was going to hunt tonight is further up the trail to the bedding than where I've been hunting, just to see what happens in that area. Well, that was my plan until I made a little loop and found a pretty good track going into the woods somewhere else. So where that track is going to come out, if it comes out where it went in, where I would be sitting tonight, I'd never see it. So I'm sitting somewhere else. All those deer tonight came on a trail that comes right off of that scrape I showed you earlier on. There's a scrape, it's actually a couple scrapes, and they're there every year. And I put the buck fever synthetic on there last week, and I should have just sat it. I just didn't want to be wrong with the wind. There's a pretty good wind tonight, so I'm gonna move onto that trail somewhere tomorrow night and see what happens. Rode my bike a little over 11 miles today back in there, so been a pretty good day for me. I did a lot on foot, did a lot on the bike, and having fun. 25-mile-an-hour winds today, about 4:45, and I'm getting ready to bike back into the state land. I wasn't actually planning on hunting. I am taking my gear just in case, but my goal is to get a couple of buck fever synthetic scrapes established before next week. About a week from now, we're going to come into the prime pre-rut time, the tail end of October, first week in November. So I'm trying to get the deer in the area where I keep seeing that buck to go to a specific spot, because they come through there over a 200-yard range. They come through there, and you never know what trail they're going to be on. So I'm going to put the scrape down, hunt it next week, and see if I can get lucky. Plus, I got some more exploring to do today, and I absolutely love exploring. A couple spots I found last winter that I haven't even looked at yet this year, so windy as hell. It's a great day for it. All right, that's what it's all about. What a great night. I didn't really hunt tonight. For about 45 minutes, I did kind of a sneak through an area where there's been good buck sign in the past, and a little bit there now, a couple rubs. I did find one tree that's got a lot of scrape activity under it, kind of like the tree on the other end of the property where all my multiple scrapes are. That tree I hit tonight with a little bit more of my mock scrape scent, and then I went on to my first project, which was figure out how to connect with that big 6-point. Don't know exactly where he's going to come out each night out of that cover, and so what I did is tried to pick out a spot to make a mock scrape using the buck fever pre-post formula, and luckily this buck made it kind of easy for me, because I wasn't finding a good downward hanging branch to make the scrape under in that area. And as I was looking around, I noticed an old rub that had been torn into recently with some branches also by it that were kind of torn up, and there's a great spot right there to make it, and that puts that scrape about 20 yards each direction from the main area where I think he might come. Yeah, let's say 30 yards each direction. But anyway, I made that scrape, I scented it, I picked out a couple different trees in that area that I could potentially use with my climber, and I got out of there. I made a loop around a different road, wanted to look up a couple old 2-tracks. The one that's really neat because it has basically turned into a deer trail. It's very narrow, not even 2-track width anymore, and the deer are running it. And there's some good rubs over there. 3 rubs on one corner that are all, the bottom of the rubs at least 2 feet off the ground, if not higher. Big trees. And so I decided I'd loop around to the other side of that section, which is only a couple 100 yards through there, because that's where it looked like that trail was going. And sure enough, coming out of there, there's another good sized rub on a big tree there. The rub isn't real aggressive yet, but it's a big tree and it's high up, and to me that says older deer. So that's exciting. There's no place I can put a tree stand in either of those spots. I would have to hunt it from the ground, and I might do that one night this year. We'll see how things pan out. From there, came back and went up a different trail that I hunted on in season 2. And in season 2, I hung a stand, saw some deer that first night, ended up finding a gut pile by that stand during firearm season, and the only time I ever hunted it was when I hung it. So check that area out. That's where I made my sneak through. Got some good buck sign up in there. Nothing big, but buck sign nonetheless, It's fun because I've got all these different spots where I feel like I could hang a stand confidently and have an opportunity to shoot a deer. That's great for me, especially since I have kids, and my kids are old enough to hunt, and pretty soon my older boy is probably going to be able to come out here some with me. So I like to try to think about where can I hang a stand that he can sit in and where can I sit near there so that we can both hunt the area. So working on that. You know, it's only a year, maybe 2 away before that happens. So great night. I've been getting rained on for about 2 hours. I biked my butt off tonight, and gosh, it's just so much fun. You know, you just got to take that time to get outside, do something, get outdoors and be alive. Because right now when I do this stuff, I feel more alive than I do doing anything else any other time of the year. And you just got to do it. Right, it's Saturday, October 30, about 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm taking a drive out to this piece of state land that I've been hunting in Midland County. This is probably the last evening that I'm going to hunt out there this year, unless I see something tonight to make me think otherwise. Trail camera didn't show me much from the other night. I put it up on those rubs, and I only got one photo of one buck, and he's a dorky looking little 4-point, so I'm not sure where I'm sitting yet. I'm going out here, I don't know, I gotta look at a few things, you know, and make some decisions from there, because I've got some rubs in some areas that I found. Saw another nice rub last night, and just not sure yet. So I'm going to feel it out once I get out here. And the problem is the two different spots that I am potentially going to hunt are, you know, about 1.5 miles apart. So I got to look at one, bike over to the other, and it's 3:30 right now. So and there's not a lot of time. Okay. We might as well get it out in the open. I admit it. I am a state land junkie. Can't get enough, man. I don't know what it is about these deer. They are so hard to hunt. These are the most challenging deer I've ever hunted in my life. Absolutely. When I quit hunting out here years ago and started hunting over in Montcalm County, I was amazed at how easy deer hunting got at that point. And I racked up a lot of bucks, let me tell you, a lot. And I've had this yearn to come back out here, get back into my roots, my old stomping ground, and try to connect with a buck. And tonight, I just about did. By gosh, he came out at low light. I didn't fire the camera up because there's no way it would have picked him up. I can see white up here, and I'm looking, I'm like, okay, he looks like he's a fork or something, you know, about like this, and thinking he's probably a 6-point. I said, all right, if he comes out of the woods, I'm going to shoot him. He came out of the woods. There's a wooded part over here, and a trail about 12 yards out from me. He comes right at my tree. Closer, closer, closer. I'm looking at him, I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm going to shoot him. If he turns sideways, he turns broadside. He's like 3, maybe 5 yards tops from my tree. I'm only 12 feet up in this tree because that's as high as I can go in this tree with my climber because of the branch situation, but it's awesome cover where I'm at. Draw. Gone. Didn't stop and look up. Nothing. Gone. He's a good 50 yards away as I'm letting my bow down. They're tough deer out here, man. I used to get busted like that just as I started to draw. Just that little bit of movement. They'd never even look at me. They'd see something over here out of the corner of their eye. Gone. Just gone. You know? So I'm going to hunt some easy deer for a little while and try hitting my woods. My land, it's not really woods, and my dad's woods, and see if I can connect with a Gratiot County buck, give up for a little while on these Midland County bucks, and maybe even go back over and try to whack a Montcalm County buck. We'll see what happens, man. Hunting pressure changes push the deer out. Hundreds of acres push the deer out. And needless to say, it was a pretty disappointing season for me. Those trails that were so heavily beat down just a couple seasons prior that I'd been enjoying scouting were drying up, not looking good. So I decided to stick with it, stick with the plan, pick a few days a season to keep at it, keep coming out and trying to make this happen. So let's take a look at year number 4. Alright guys, here we are, October 4th. Already we've got 2 Gratiot County deer in the freezer. Gavin got a 4-point, I got that crippled doe. Definitely looked like a car accident. Took care of her, and I'm getting ready to bike back into some state land here in Midland County. Now, I got to tell you, I'm really excited about coming out here. This is what real hunting feels like to me. I've hunted a lot of different places. I hunt in Gratiot, Midland, Montcalm, Mackinac counties every year, and what I've been doing out here just really energizes me inside and makes me feel alive. So I know it may seem a little strange to a lot of people that I'd be riding a bicycle back into the property to hunt, but it's what we're doing. We got a couple miles to go. The real tough thing is it's 65 degrees. The sun is beating down on me, super hot. My scent lock that I'm wearing is mildly insulated. It's not real heavy, but still, the question is going to be, can I get back in there with my climber up a tree without sweating? I'm going to take it easy. I'm getting a little bit of an early start today, so that's the goal. Hopefully we can check in with some deer. All right, I made it on stand, but I'm in a completely different spot than I planned on hunting today. So as I'm coming through, there's this oak tree that I keep an eye on, and it's completely tracked up underneath it right now. And there's a great big track underneath it right now too. So I just couldn't pass that up. I did look at my other spot, not as many tracks over there now. So the thing is, you know, it was a month ago when I saw that buck. The photos that I'm showing you right now were from 2 weeks ago. And the woods is always changing. So you have to be willing to change with it if you're not hunting a crop field or other artificial food source. So these deer are going to bounce all around on this edge this year. I have to keep in step with what they're doing in order to stay on them. And right now, the tree that I'm in, it looks pretty good. I've got an easy shot to the oak tree. I've got an easy shot to the cover behind me where there's also another trail. So I'm downwind of the oak right now. I'm feeling pretty good about tonight, at least seeing some deer. I really hope whatever's making that big track shows up. What an amazing night. It's so calm and peaceful out right now, and the deer moved pretty early, just like I thought they would. I had a button buck who came by me feeding on those acorns, and he got wind of something, and he got all antsy and trotted off. And when he trotted off, I heard another deer trot off behind me too, so I don't know what that was. And about an hour after that, a deer came running at me, and it was a spike. Probably one of the 2 spikes that I've gotten on camera this year out there, because they seem to be hanging out together, and 10 seconds behind that one, another one came running. So they ran by me at about 7 yards, stopped at about 20, broadside, and shootable. And I did get the camera on. The one sniffed around a little bit and actually found where I'd stashed my bike. I was hunting kind of close to my bike tonight because I was hunting someplace I wasn't planning on hunting, and I'd already stashed my bike. Anyway, they just trotted off, not too spooked, so that was kind of fun because, you know, while I wasn't going to shoot either of them, you know, years past, you know, 15, 20 years ago, I would have arrowed either one without even giving it a second thought. So all depends on where you're at, you know, in your hunting, whatever stage of hunting you're in, and just a lot of fun. Had a good night. All right, guys, it's about 4:15 on October 13th, and I'm getting ready to bike back into a piece of state land here in Midland County, Michigan. Now we've got some rain coming. Last I checked on the hourly, it said 8 p.m. and looked at the radar. Looks like we've got some rain coming. So I kind of blew it today because I hunted this morning. I threw everything in the truck that I thought I'd need. I went to work. Now I'm out here, and I forgot some hunting clothes. I've got jeans on right now that I keep in the truck for tracking, and that's what I'm going to be using tonight because I am wearing my rubber rain pants for 2 reasons. One, scent control. I really need to figure out what I can do out here in these tall ferns to keep these deer from smelling me, because every time my scent lock pants touch anything out here, bam, I am nailed. And I know all of the procedures to activate and reactivate your scent lock. I keep them in a separate tote away from all of my other clothes. I don't put them on until I get to my hunting spot with the vehicle off for a long time so there's no exhaust. I got it. I understand that. My scent lock pants touch stuff, the deer smell it, period. So I'm going with rubber, since I've always had such good luck with my tall rubber boots. I'm going with rubber pants, and I'm going to see how that pans out. And then number two, of course, I'm expecting to get rained on. Probably on my bike ride out of here tonight, I will be riding in the rain. And that kind of sucks, but at the same time, I like to look at it as another adventure in the art of being human. Several other species are able to exist in the wild, in the rain, and survive. So I believe I can do it too. We're going to get ready now and bike out, and wish me luck. Here we go. The wind died down. It got super calm, and out came this spike. And I wanted to shoot this spike so bad tonight, I can't even tell you. You know, I've been hunting these woods since I was a kid. I took a break for a while, but I'm back at it. And these are the kind of bucks that I always saw out here, you know, and never could connect with. And there's just something about being in the big woods, you know. I wasn't able to grow up hunting farm fields and hunting field edges and fence rows and woodlots on the farm, you know. I was lucky because I was spoiled. I got to hunt the big woods, and we got to see spikes, and if we were really lucky, we might even get to see a forkhorn. No big bucks for us, so we had to hunt them hard. And besides that, they were smaller, so they were harder to hit. We were better shots. And anyway, back to tonight. I wanted to shoot this buck. Why? Because I have a goal this year, and that is, I've been doing this for 4 years now, and I want to get a buck out of here, or even a deer out of here this year on my bike. I want to haul that thing out of there with my bike, and that's my plan of what to do. And I could see this all unfolding, and he came down. He's 15 yards, if that, broadside, and there's a blood trail already on the ground, and he doesn't even know it yet, and I let him walk. And I'm okay with that for now, but 2 weeks from now, I may end up tagging something like that. Or I did put in this year for an antlerless tag also. I got drawn for an antlerless tag for this public land. So I may end up filling that during archery season, just so that I can get a deer on my bike out here this year. That's my goal, and I'm having so much fun doing it. See, if I'd have shot that buck, would I have had bragging rights? No. But I would have had so much fun. And that's more important than getting a trophy buck, is having an adventure, getting outside, and making a memory. And we're going to do that this year. I'm not sure how it's going to unfold, but we are going to do it. All right, guys, it's October 18th, currently into the 3rd week of archery season here in Michigan. And I'm getting ready to bike back into this chunk of state land again. Since the beginning of October, I've done over 30 miles now on my bicycle, getting back in and out of here. Feels good, proud of that. I'm glad I'm getting some riding in. I've seen 4 spikes out here so far. That's it for bucks, and had a good morning today. I sat a private land river flat this morning, and I saw 2 6-points down there. At least the first one I know was a 6-point. The second one, I watched him push does around the woods far away from me. He finally came out of the cover, but when he did, he was moving pretty good. And I drew on him just because I wasn't sure if I was going to make a commitment to stop him and shoot him or not. And as I saw him step out of the cover, I realized that he wasn't one that I was willing to shoot yet. So we let him walk, but happy to see some chase activity going on this morning. And 2 bucks is always nice to see on that little piece of private land. So hopefully one of them will make it through and can grow up. And if not, maybe my other son will get to arrow one coming up here pretty soon. So we'll see. Getting ready to head back in here. It's a beautiful night. We've got cloud cover. We got rain coming later. Very calm right now. The next couple days are going to absolutely suck weather-wise. We just came off of 25, 30 mile an hour winds for 3 days, and today is the calm day. That's why the hunting's so good. And tonight, hopefully, we'll get to connect with something out here. All right, guys. October 18th came and went. I saw a total of 4 bucks today. I got to see 2 Gratiot County bucks sparring this morning, and I got to see 2 Midland County bucks sparring tonight. The night dragged on. I didn't think I was going to see anything, and then I heard some deer running, and so I thought, well, here we go. We got chasing going on here too, and sure enough, but not right by me, 40, 50 yards over through the other point of cover there. And they ran out, and the deer that I thought might be a doe then came from behind the 2 yearlings and cut over toward me. And I gave a grunt because I saw the other buck coming down through the cover. Well, this one turned, started coming back toward me, got about 30 yards away, and I thought, cool. Then the other one came, this one turned back, and then they, boom, they locked antlers for a little bit, little head bump there. So I'm not sure the helmet camera is going to pick that up, number one, because they were 45 yards out when that happened, and number two, because the light was pretty low at that point. So not sure exactly what they were. Neither one looked like a spike, though. They both looked like better. The one, I could see a fork. I don't know if he had another one coming out the front or not, but I could just see the fork on the side, white, and then the other one looked like he had a beam down low, you know, but not big bucks, but a lot of fun for me. And I was hoping they came closer so I could get a look and maybe even arrow one, and that's the way it goes. Still happy that I'm seeing some deer. I got very limited tracks out here. The tracks are not here right now. I'm not sure where these deer went, but at least I saw a couple bucks, and I'm going to adjust my setup next time to try to intercept their path. Well, hey guys, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon on October 26th. I'm getting ready once again to do a little bit more of my state land mountain biking adventure here, and what we've got going on is we're right on the edge of a new moon. It's like tonight or tomorrow night, I can't remember which, but usually right around the new moon I tend to catch some pretty good deer activity. So we're giving it a try out here in the state land again in the evening. Now, right now I have no idea where I'm hunting out here tonight. My usual spot seems to have dried up, even though I feel like I've given it very little hunting pressure this year. These are the hardest deer in the world to hunt right here, and it doesn't take very much pressure at all to make them change their patterns and their bedding and their feeding. And right now I have no deer tracks the last 2 times I've been out here, so I'm discouraged about that. Also, I have found 0 rubs this year anywhere. State land, private land, Gratiot County, Montcalm County, Midland County that I've looked at so far. I have found 0 rubs, and it's the end of October. Very strange for me. Usually I've got some good rub lines developed by now. So that's what I'm looking for tonight. I'm going to look at some other areas. I'm going to try to find some buck activity. I'm going to try to find some rubs. Now last year I came out here towards the tail end of firearm season with my son Caden, and we did some walking and some scouting, and we found a really nice rub line about a quarter mile west of where I've been hunting. So I'm going to look there. I've got a couple other spots where I found good scrapes last year after season, so I've got options. I'm just not sure where I'm at yet for tonight, but that's why I'm here early, so that I can get out here, look at some sign. If I find fresh sign, I'm hunting it. I'm not even looking at the other spots. Fresh sign is what I'm looking for, and if I find what looks like it could be developed from a 2.5 or older buck, that's where I'm sitting. Alright, I made it out to a tree. Did about a 6-mile loop on the bike, and I found one rub. One little rub. Very disappointing. My half-mile stretch where I usually find lots of deer tracks, I found 4 tracks on there. 1 looked like an adult and 3 looked like yearlings. 4 tracks on a half-mile stretch in the sand. I think I'm done with that spot for this year. I'm really bummed about that. So I ended up in my backup location here, a spot that I hunted a couple years ago one time, and that was a year I got real sick and then I couldn't come back out. So I came out here last year late in the season and saw there was some good scrape activity. Well, there's 4 scrapes along this probably 70-yard stretch here. 3 of them are just off to my left about 30 yards right now, and another one is right down here below me. So this is where I'm sitting tonight. There's no good trees for me to get my climber in. The one that I'm in is way too small. I have no cover at all, but hopefully I can get a shot off before I get picked out. And my goal tonight is to either shoot a 2.5-year-old buck or older, or I'm going to fill my antlerless tag if I get the opportunity, because I don't know that I'm going to come back out here this year. My goal was really to get a deer on my bike this year, and that's the whole purpose of me getting the antlerless tag, so that I could fill that if need be. And that's my goal tonight, get a deer. So we'll see if I get lucky. We've got a northeast wind. Not sure how it's going to play out, and this tree's way too small because it's swinging around right now, but that's the way it is. So it's almost 5 o'clock and I'm set up, and here we go. So I was still dealing with the hunting pressure. It was letting up, but there were still lots of guys, and I had a parking lot experience. I was getting my gear together, strapping on my clothing to my lone wolf climbing stand, and the guy says to me, "Hey, aren't you that guy from YouTube?" I said, "Yep, that's me." He says to his buddy, "See, I told you so. And I told you this was the right spot." So, lesson learned. But with that said, like I said, 40 hours of video chopped down into this, and I appreciate you watching if you're still with me here. Now, I had some camera issues in the footage coming up. I got caught in a downpour and hid under a canopied tree. Still got wet. My mic got wet. You'll hear that. And I changed the wide angle on my camera, because just a week prior I'd shot this 7-point, and you'll probably recognize the footage. And I thought, man, it'd be cool if I could get that tighter, a tighter video of that shot. So I changed the wide angle on it, and then with the footage that's coming up, I lost everything out of the top of the frame because of it. But it's the only footage I have, and this is the only way to tell this story. So there's no redos when you're real hunting. I still hunt here every year, and we had a few good seasons after this adventure. My boys came out here with me. They both got opportunities at nice 2.5-year-old 8-points, but I haven't really seen the sign now for about 6 years. I check it out every year. I have certain spots that I look for rub and scrape activity, and if it's there, I'll hunt it. If it's not there, well, then I hunt other places. Looking back at this footage, putting this together, I realize that this may be the greatest hunting adventure of my life, and I'm happy to be able to share it with you. So with that said, here's the conclusion of mountain bike bow hunting with year number 5. Guys, we're into a brand new archery season now, and I'm heading out for the first time tonight on my mountain bike into the state land. I was lucky enough to draw a Midland County antlerless tag this year for public land, so if I get the opportunity to fill that out here, I'm going to fill that out here. I saved it the past couple times I drew it just in case I wanted to come out and firearm hunt, but this place is packed full of hunters during firearm season. Packed full. And it pushes all the deer out. I came out here during muzzleloading season last year, made a loop through an area that I thought might not have any pressure, and I found deer blind after deer blind and no sign at all. So we're out here this year. It's October 16th today. Riding my mountain bike back in for the first time to a chunk of woods that has been pretty, how do I want to say it? I've been able to count on it in the past to see deer. And not necessarily bucks, but deer. And that's what I'm hunting tonight. I am deer hunting. I'm not going to shoot a little buck out here. I will shoot a doe if I get the opportunity. In fact, that's what I'm really hoping to do this year, is to get a deer on my mountain bike in this piece of state land. So let's get to it. All right, I made it on stand. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. pretty minimal deer sign out here this year. Disappointing, but there's no water and there's no acorns, so there's really no reason for deer to live here if they have a room to live somewhere else. All right, another beautiful night biking in Midland County. I didn't have high hopes tonight of seeing many deer, and I scored big tonight because I saw 8 deer, 4 bucks. I got out there, I was sitting in my stand, I texted Rich, I'm like, this just seems like there's nothing around, it's a waste of my time, and I caught movement out about 75 yards in front of me, and it looks like it's a little buck. Well, he's milling around, then he turns and he's going away from me, so I decided to hit my grunt call. And I know I've showed you the grunt call in other videos, but I gotta talk about this grunt call. This is the Night and Hail Rack Blaster. This is the best grunt call I've ever owned. I used to blow grunt calls at these deer out here 16, 17 years ago, and they'd just run away. He was walking away, one tap on the Rack Blaster, and he picked his head up. I knew he heard me, so I didn't do it again. And sure enough, he turned around and started walking my way. Now, the downside to grunting at a buck is that now he's looking for that other deer. And when he doesn't see a deer where he thinks he should, he gets uptight. And of course he's going to circle downwind to try to smell that deer. So in that case, he's circling downwind of where he thinks the sound came from. That's me. So that's never a good thing, but I just decided to do it for fun because I honestly thought he might be the only deer I'd see tonight. Well, he was awfully cool. Golden antlers. A golden antlered Midland County 5-point. How cool is that? I've never seen a golden antlered buck before, and he was just gold. So he milled around and checked me out and tried to win me and checked me out. And when he got out back in the open, I saw some more deer running out there, and I thought maybe there was some chasing going on. Well, he eventually went down that way, and then he came back chasing this yearling all around. Well, that yearling ended up being a button buck, so I thought maybe he was chasing a yearling doe, but he was just being a bully. He's a big golden antlered 5-point bully in Midland County. So I'm not sure what we're going to do about that. Anyway, the doe that was probably with that button buck came and circled way out around me, and I thought, okay, here she comes. She kept coming in closer, and then she started sniffing. She didn't like it. She ran and went back out around me. So she didn't blow. That was good, but I still got winded. Then I had the other two come, and I thought I was going to get a shot. I got drawn and everything, and then the shot just didn't open up, and the one that was right below me must have seen some movement, and they jumped. They didn't ever really go anywhere. They went back out about 50 yards away, and 2 bucks showed up. 2 what looked like 2.5-year-old, probably 12 to 13 wide, probably about that tall bucks. And I went, yeah. They started sparring out there. I really hope that the video picks it up because I could hear them sparring for a little bit and their antlers together. And then as they came walking by on the edge, I got to sit closer to that edge, the back one looked like he might be a little bigger, so I hit the Rack Blaster again and he stopped. Stood there for, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 seconds. Then he took a couple bounds and hopped in with the others. He knew something wasn't right. So the wind was wrong for me. I set up for the deer to come from a direction that they didn't come from. Not one single deer. The 5-point didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me he came through there, but the others, the direction they came from, I didn't think they were going to come that way. So my wind was wrong. When I do this again, probably in about a week, I'll set up differently. I'll pick a different tree. So it was getting pretty dim, and the last buck starts walking right in toward me, and he looked like he was probably, I don't know, 15, 16 wide, something like that. Nice looking buck. Just couldn't hardly see him. I could see the glint on his antlers as he came through where the others did, and that was it. So awesome night again. I'm so glad I had a good night out here. I got so depressed last year when everything just was gone, and so this was a neat setup, a neat spot tonight. I'm going to hunt it again, but I'm going to let it cool down because I did spook some deer. So hopefully they keep coming through that area, and hopefully when I come out here next week, maybe I can get a chance to connect at a doe or even a big buck. I'm not going to shoot a small buck. I'm not even going to shoot a 2.5-year-old out here. I'm at a point right now where I filled my 4 on a side tag already this year with a 7-point a few days ago, and I'm going to be pretty picky about what I shoot for the next buck. So I don't know. I'm going to keep at it, and hopefully it works out. I'm having a lot of fun, and that's the most important part, out here having fun. So we'll check back in when we hit it again. I had 2 days this week that I was planning to bike out into my state land spot and try to connect with a deer. Tonight is the first of those 2 days, and today and tomorrow, rain is the forecast, and tonight it is thunderstorms. I'm taking a risk here because I've been watching the forecast all day long. The storms, they just pushed them all back an hour. They're saying 6 o'clock, they were saying 5 o'clock, and I'm going to take a chance here tonight because I think I'm going to get rained out tomorrow. So if I can get out there tonight, maybe catch something moving right before the rain, maybe I'll get lucky. Now, of course, the concern is if I arrow something and it's raining, of course the blood trail goes away real quick. So I got to be sure I got a good shot on whatever I'm going to shoot tonight. I will shoot a doe if I get a chance. If I get a chance at a big buck, I'll shoot that too. But I got to know, it's my curiosity. I love exploring. I love going out here on my bike. I love this piece of land. And I got to know. I saw 4 bucks last week when I was out here. And I'm moving to a different tree tonight to try to put myself in a little better position based on the deer I saw last week. So if I don't do it this week, I might not do it yet this season. So I got to get it done tonight. I got to get out here. I might get soaked. It's a chance I'm willing to take, I guess. All part of the adventure. It's 65 degrees outside. I just parked my bike, but it's so impossible to get back here this way and not be too hot. I just took my pants off so I can try to cool down. Standing out here in my socks and underwear amongst the oak leaves, trying to cool down so that I'm not sweating. I'm right on the edge of breaking a big sweat, and that's going to kill my night if I do that. It's just so humid and it's so warm, and it's just a pain to try to get back here. I mean, I almost need to wear shorts on a day like today and carry everything. Hopefully I can give it 10 or 15 here and cool down, put my clothes back on and get out to the stand, but I'm going to be getting out there later than I want to now, so it's tough. I don't even know what tree I'm going to be in yet. That's, I always try to get out early to pick a tree. It's alright. At least I'm hunting. Worst things I could be doing right now. Alright, I'm currently trying to cool off in my tree. I just got up here with my climber. The climber's a disadvantage tonight because it doesn't allow me to be where I want to be. A ladder stick with a hang-on stand would have been ideal tonight. Just no trees. I'm in a very small trunked tree right now. Double trunk, trying to hide up against it. It's not real small, 8 inches in diameter. It works, but it's not ideal. And it puts me
point of a trail that I think might be critical. But then again, I'm 19 feet in the air, so the trail's right by me. I might blow over it. Who knows? I love the view up here. I love that I have all this land to myself right now and there's nobody else around. Thank you, State of Michigan, for gating this property off.
It keeps raining. 2 to 3 minutes of steady downpour at a time, but the way it looks at my radar here, 2 of the storm cells are going to split where I'm at. So I might get lucky and might not get very wet tonight. And within an hour, I might have an hour before the real rain gets here. Down. That's the biggest buck of my life, and he's down. Oh my God. I'm so lucky. I am so lucky. He's down. That is the biggest buck I've ever had a shot at. Oh my God. I don't even know. He's down. He's right back there, and it's not pouring rain. And I can see that my lens is dirty. I'm sorry about that. That's the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life. On state land. Out of my lone wolf climber. With my awesome archery research bow. My gold tip arrows. How'd you like that Luminoc? Lets you know where the hit's at. And of course the Muzzy Phantom put him down fast. Oh my gosh. I can see him. I can see him laying right there. 75 yards away, he's laying right there. I hard shot him. Right through the shoulder. I see my Luminoc out here. My arrow broke, but I see my Luminoc right there. We can recover it. It's gonna... It might start pouring rain any minute. This is amazing. I could have shot that doe too. I could have knocked another arrow and shot that doe. And filled my antlerless tag, which is what I'm here to do. I'm here to fill my antlerless tag. Every time I hunt does, I see bucks. I don't know what to do. I don't want to scare other deer, but that thing's huge. We gotta go get him. I'm gonna wait it. I'm sorry the camera's shaking. I know why it's shaking. And that's okay. I'm gonna wait 15 minutes from right now before I climb down. Even though he's down, I'm gonna wait. I know where he is. I don't have to track a blood trail. Biggest buck of my life. I almost didn't hunt because of the thunderstorms. And it thundered and it lightninged. But my count was 4 miles at the closest, so I just stayed here. It's so beautiful in Colombo right now. Let's go get this Luminac. Definitely a heart shot. Just in case. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that, look at that, look at that. Oh my God. What a buck. What a buck. Look at that. Amazing. Oh, gotta head mount that baby, no doubt about it. 9-point. Awesome 9-point buck. Thank you so much, dear. Thanks so much for this opportunity. I can't even believe how awesome of a gift this is. Not only to get this amazing deer, but our freezer's empty. It was just, he's gonna go to good use. He's gonna go to real good use. Such a beautiful, beautiful animal. They're all beautiful. I loved seeing that spike tonight. You know, that spike was just beautiful watching him. And I've been real fortunate to see some nice bucks now the last 2 nights. I saw a big one last night, and hunting some new land. I had real high hopes of being able to shoot a wall mounter this year with all the older bucks I've been seeing, and this is one right here. This is amazing. It's an amazing experience. So I'm going to, I gotta get my my bike cart, get him out of here on my bike. So that's the next step. I gotta pack up my stuff and head back to my bike out, get my cart, and do the rest of the work. This is an adventure. This is amazing. 5 years I've been doing this. 5 years I've been coming out here. And look at this opportunity. Unreal.
Alright, I got Gavin, my youngest son, out here with me, and he wanted to ride back in here tonight to help me recover this deer, so thank you, Gavin, for your help. I'm glad he can help to film and get some photos and all that good stuff. So, decided to use this old bike trailer that I have to try to transport this deer out of here. I know that I'm going to exceed the weight limit on it by a bit, but it rolls really easy, and I think it'll work out. So we're crossing our fingers that it's up to the task. Alright guys, another beautiful calm night here in Michigan. If you looked at the forecast right now, it would say that it's supposed to be thunderstorms and pouring rain, and we just got lucky tonight. I don't know what all the helmet camera picked up, so I'm just going to recap the whole night. I had today on the schedule for more of the mountain bike adventure. This is a 5-year project at this point, and we're finally coming home with a nice state land buck from Midland County. So I had it on the schedule to come. The forecast was very iffy. Said showers at 4, then it didn't, then it said thunderstorms at 5, then it didn't, and finally I gave up on the forecast. I saw the rain coming. I knew I was going to get wet. I just had to hunt tonight. I got out here, it started pouring rain on me. I couldn't find a tree to get up my climber for the wind direction, for where I wanted to be, from where I thought the deer would come from. I finally had to compromise and pick a different tree. Went up the tree, decided to not give up when the rain started pouring and the thunder started booming. I checked my phone, which, you know, technology is great sometimes, and I was able to look at the radar. There was a storm cell north, there was a storm cell south, and they were splitting me by a few miles. So I thought, okay, I'm going to stick it out and it might clear. And it didn't take too long, and the rain quit, and all of a sudden I heard a deer walking. And out in front of me walks this little spike. Now he's a nice spike for out here, but he's a spike. And I'm watching him, and he's sniffing where I walked, where I didn't want to walk because I walked through the tall stuff. Don't ever walk through the tall stuff. But I was over on the other side. I went over onto this side to get into a tree. And he's sniffing. He's kind of looking up at me, but he has no idea what I am because he's just young and he hasn't been shot at yet. So I hear this guy. I hear, and chasing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that has got to be a big buck. It was so deep, so guttural. It was just awesome. It was a huge grunt. And chasing starts, and it stops right behind me. And I can't move because the spike is there. The spike's looking at these guys. I just sat there. I didn't look at what was behind me. Had I looked, I would have destroyed my chances tonight. But I used patience. It was so hard. I sat there and I didn't move. These guys ran away. This buck and the doe ran off. Finally, the spike went back into the cover, walking around. And I hoped that maybe I'd get lucky and I'd get another look at what was chasing. And about 20 minutes later, here comes the doe prancing right near me. And I glanced back and I saw this wide rack. And I looked at it and I said, man, I can't tell. Is it a big 6? What is it? Is it a 2.5? And as he got closer, I realized what it was. And my heart started to come out of my chest. I contained it, pushed it back down, and said, focus. He was walking. I slowly got my bow into position. I had them both beat on the wind. And all of a sudden, he's just stepping out, and there's a little branch right in the way, and my feet aren't quite turned. And he stops, and he's looking at the doe. I glance over at her. She's sniffing where I walked. And I said, this is it. I got to do it right now. I drew. He didn't go anywhere. With my feet turned to the right, I had to lean out to the left. I made a lean, picked my spot, released, and I got limited penetration. I hit him right on the shoulder. And I had that happen years ago with a nice 8-point that I did not recover because I hit it on the shoulder and had shallow penetration. So as he ran back, I'm thinking, please go down. Please, please, please don't go anywhere. He starts to go again, and his rear end dropped, and he just couldn't go. I put it into the heart, probably hit, based on my shot that I'm seeing here, I probably cut blood vessels off of the top of the heart, and it was just over. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on the helmet camera or not because he's 75 yards away. I could have arrowed the doe too, but I didn't need to tonight. It's enough work to get one deer out of here. I came tonight to hunt for a doe or a big buck, and I cannot believe what I'm rewarded with here. This beautiful Michigan 3.5-year-old 9-point. I just don't even know what else to say about this one. It's awesome outside. I've got Gavin helping me out. We're gonna get this thing back into the bike cart and bike it back out of here. You know, 5 years. Let's talk about this. 5 years I've been at this, and my spot 3 years ago looked amazing, and last year it didn't produce deer. And so this year I decided, what do you do when there's no deer? You have to move, and you have to explore, and you have to go somewhere else. So rather than hunting the property like I've done for years, I decided that I would change it up. There's all these new 2-tracks out here because of all the work that's been done, and I decided to explore some of the new 2-tracks in of this property. So this is what I'm rewarded with for thinking outside the box, for not being too comfortable with my stand location and always being willing to move. This guy is just the biggest buck I've ever shot. It was an amazing experience tonight, but I would like to reiterate that every deer that I shoot is truly a quality deer. This is a brute. He's a scoreable buck. I'm very excited about it, but he's no better than the 7-point that I shot last week. You know, always an adventure, always seeking that chance to be a part of nature, to fit into the food chain, and ultimately to make a good shot. And I have had 2 heart shots this year, and I am just absolutely elated with the way that this season has turned out. I'm so glad that I finally got to bring a close to my mountain bike bow hunting adventure. So with that, I guess we're going to wrap this one up. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.